Hey y'all, welcome to so this is a Wednesday edition, but at the same time, I know it is I am missing my Wednesday partner. I don't know whether to go here or there. But Husbay, that's why my lighting may be a little off because Husbay does all of the lighting and that's why I was a little delayed because he is a believer in the ring light and I was trying to go it without the ring light and I actually had to go back and get it. So shout out to you, Husbay. Yes, it does make a big difference. And but here we are. I also want to say I was a little late because I was giving that VP debate another little watch, y'all. Can I say that? I am. I find it very interesting also that the polls are showing, and don't get me wrong, it was a good debate from both gentlemen, from Governor Walz as well as Senator J.D. Vance. Can someone tell me what J.D. stands for? I am going to order his book, Hillbilly Effigy, but I have not as of yet, but I do plan on ordering it. But we have some other things to get out of the way first. Hey, Naima. Naima, I'm a little solo today, so I thank you so much. And y'all, my voice may sound a little hoarse because I've just been loving up on this Limeade. And as you all know, the top of every month is, it's a fast. And no, not consuming any sugar. And I usually don't have that problem, but there was a little bit of a half pint of my favorite caramel ice cream still in the freezer yesterday. And my daughter said, "Are you going to eat that?" Because she knows that caramel is my favorite. So I appreciate her asking. I said, "No, I'm not eating any sugars while I'm on the fast." And lo and behold, when I went to clean the kitchen last night before going to bed, because y'all know that we have to do that, right? Moms, you have to do that regardless, even if I'm not cooking. even though I'm not cooking, I have to, still make sure that that kitchen is in working order and before going to bed. Like, you cannot sleep peacefully without that. And of course, when I was cleaning the kitchen, I saw in the garbage, yes, that container. So shortly after, we must have had that conversation, and I went back to my room, to my boudoir, to take the prayer call for fasting. And I came out afterwards, that ice cream was gone. She was like, "Oh, you can't eat it? Okay, don't worry about it." So don't even worry about looking forward to it after the fast is over. So, but it's no problem. It's no problem. So at any rate, I am on the top of the fast. Of course, cheers, everyone. This is the second day. And this limeade is everything. It's delicious. It's wow. But it does get you right, as the ex of mine would say, get you right cheer. Get you right cheer. So I've been having Lyme voice for the last couple of days, and actually even before the fast started, I was just cutting those limes in half and just sucking on those limes and enjoying it. So yes, the limes will also be making an appearance. Our Limeade will be making an appearance at the Conscious Cipher in Atlanta this Saturday. Whoop Whoop Colored Only Cafe will be representing. We want to give a big shout out to our brother in love, Palmetto Star. He and his team, amazing team, and his partner in this event, of course, as well, Andre Johnson. They have put together an amazing event. Judge Joe Brown will be a guest speaker. There are a few other notable lineup members as well, but too many for me to remember off the top of my head. And then at the same time, I don't want to leave anyone out because I have been in that predicament before, where I talk about who I remember, and the people that I did not remember, they feel some type of way. And as someone who has been on the other side of that, I know how that feels. So I am going to say, yes, Judge Joe Brown is headlining, but there are a lot of other notables that are going to be guest speaking as well. But I cannot remember I can remember a couple of them, but not all of them at this point in time. So I'm just going to welcome you all to plug that into your Google. It is the Conscious Cipher. It is taking place in Atlanta this Saturday and Sunday. And if anybody wants any information or any more information, y'all know what to do. You can absolutely, email me, contact us. Y'all know we're available and we're accessible. So let's get into it. We're going to get into this topic today. I'm not going to hold you guys too long, but I have scheduled out, I blocked out 2 hours because I know how y'all play. I know when I'm on the first, few minutes, people may go, scroll by. But then as we creep towards the hour, something miraculous always happens. It's always an influx of people coming up. And so in preparation of that, I have blocked off a couple of hours because in preparation of that, but also because I do want to really, really have this topic of discussion. Y'all know we're rocking Kingdom Over Culture, our official shirts. If you would like to order one, also, y'all know what to do. Hit up any of our contact information. They are only $10, y'all. They are only $10. And I will say this. We were literally advised to sell them for $25. But I couldn't do it. I could not. We could not. Thank you. Naima's on it. I got my fact checkers. CBS, please call Naima. She is ready. She is in Virginia. She is ready. She got it for me. Thank you, James Donald. So I kind of like that. So James Donald is a running mate to Donald Trump. I love that. I kind of love that. That shows some real alignment. They share a name. All right. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't Donald? What's Donald Trump's middle name? Isn't it a J? Girl, run me another fact check real quick. Naima, I love it. She pulled right back in. I love y'all. I love my glowers. Riches up, lighters up, glowers. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to get into this conversation. We're going to jump into it because a couple of things are just really reading me wrong. Oh, and so again, wow. Okay. So I thought I remembered that. Woo. So they are really in alignment. So they are, DJ and JD. Baby, I love me a good Brandon. Y'all know I do. I come from that world. I come from public relations. I come from media world. I love me a good Brandon. Okay. So, yes, Donald J. Trump. Okay, Donald, I see you because I ain't gonna lie. I didn't know who JD Vance was when he chose him for his running mate. I was like, why would you choose that guy? And I said, I guess, it's Donald Trump. You do what you want to do. You do what you got to do. But I guess he wanted to choose someone that could help him with a swing state, but also someone that is not going to overpower him as far as his notoriety, because I didn't know who JD Vance was. But baby, anybody watching that debate last night? You know who JD is now. It was like, hello. They were talking about that debate so bad, the first one. And I got to be honest, it was hard for me to watch. And not because I'm going to step real. I'm not going to be apologetic about how I'm going to step in this conversation, but I'm going to step truthfully. His name is Donald John. What? I love it. I love me a good brand, baby. I love me a good Brandon. And that speaks. JD and DJ, that speaks. I love it. Okay. At any rate, it was hard for me to watch because I feel like Donald Trump's strongest, his strongest suit or his strongest skill is those. Baby, Donald Trump is just really quick with the whole, and my husband always has to remind this. He says, yeah, he's from New York. Yes. Okay. Yes. Because sometimes I forget because of the fact that I'm from Florida, and of course Donald Trump is very much well known in Florida. So like I always knew he was from New York, but it's easy to think of him as Floridian as well. And his presidency reminded me that he's from New York. And New York, and again, y'all know, I'm going to be honest on this. When we're talking, we are talking. Who do I think won last night, baby? Like I said, I didn't know who JD Vance was, but baby, I know who he is now. Okay. And this is why I say this, because again, going into that conversation, going into that debate with Donald Trump, I felt like I felt almost like he was Samson stripped away of his hair, because he wasn't really doing like what he does in those debates. And I care not. Even I remember, if it wasn't the first, it was the second debate that Donald Trump had with Biden. And I remember everybody was talking about how great Biden did. And I was like, nah, like Donald Trump did what he does. Like he ran that and he was like, boop, 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 boop. I like that. I like that this guy does not hold punches. And so I felt in that Kamala debate, let me say her name right, because too many have accused me of not liking a sister when I say she is not a sister. And when I say she's not a sister, I'm not talking about she's not a sister because she's not Black, because I do not believe she is. And I don't care what nobody say. Janet Jackson, I'm with you. I'm with you. When they say I'm with her, I'm talking about I'm with Janet. I didn't know she was Black. I've never thought of her being Black. And even when people say, oh, she's a member of a sorority, trust me, I know women that are, definitely European. I'm talking about all the way Caucasian that are members of sororities. So this is me coming from FAMU. This is me having people that were sorority members coming from other HBCUs. And yeah, they got a couple of people that are, they are sorors, but they're not Black. So that never fazed me. But on the other side of that, it wasn't that I didn't think of her as being Black. I didn't think that was an issue, because if anybody also knows me, you know me. Skin folk are not necessarily kinfolk. And again, I'm kingdom over culture. So, when I say she's not a sister, I meant her morals, her principles don't really align the way mine align, what I align with or what I identify with. And so that's what I mean. She's not a sister. I'm not saying she's not Black, but I wasn't thinking her being Black was an issue, if that makes sense. I hope it does, because it makes sense to me. But I felt like Kamala disarmed. I felt like Donald Trump was disarmed. Why do you people claim somebody who ran as a senator, but when they got nominated, they never claimed to be what you people say they are? What type of senator they run as? What nationality? I'm with Janet Jackson also. Okay, so Snuggles, welcome, because it's been a minute. I knew, that's why I said, y'all, I blocked this off, baby. We can play the long game today, because I knew this conversation was going to bring people out. And Snuggles, when you say, why do you people, who are you talking to? Because I clearly have stated, I do not. So clearly tell me who you are talking to. And Snuggles, don't play with me. I already know you got the capacity to pick 10 of these shirts up. We've had too many exchanges. I've known you too long. Please pick 10 of these shirts up. Email me. My email address is still the same email that we've always communicated through. And let's get you these shirts ordered so you can pass these out around at your next family event. Snuggles, I know how you play. 10 of these shirts are literally $100. So, but yeah, we were advised to, basically charge a little over 2 times as much as what we spent on them to make a profit. But I said getting these out are not about making a profit. It is about identifying your brand. And this is a commitment. Kingdom over culture. And, I'm telling you, they are cute. I have dressed this up with a nice little long skirt. I have another one, of course, that I have wear like on the workout trail, things like that. So it's definitely Tell the boss we said hello. He is the boss and he's amazing, y'all. But I said, I need my husband back. He's working on a construction detail out of town. And they were trying to rope my baby in for sending him over to the a little bit of what they call the hurricane cleanup. They were trying to send him to another state for hurricane cleanup. I said, no. I need my husband back. You know, you just sleep differently when your husband is in bed with you. You do. I'm able to have a restful sleep. Like last night, I didn't go to sleep until well late. You know, every little sound that is made, you're like, you know, shoot, do I have to, you know, get out and defend the household? Like, I just rest peacefully when he's in bed next to me, you know? And so I miss that. I like being able to go to sleep and I don't have to worry about nothing because my husband is Mr. Security Man. So I always tell him, he be talking about me having cop energy, but I tell him, baby, you the one to have that cop energy. You look like you always coming into a scene, scoping stuff out, seeing who looking like what. Let him go and make your money, woman. No, I mean, our money, that's why you got to pick up 10 of these shirts. That's the way I make my money. We make our money differently. But I'm just saying the security of his physical presence is so peaceful. Just so peaceful. So he is making money for us and I make money for us. But I'm just talking about it's hard for me to just it's hard for me to get comfortable without him. Like I can't, you know, I don't feel like, you know, I don't feel like I'm secure without my husband. And I miss that. So I ain't stopping him from doing his work and but trust me, the construction job, it has it's bringing in enough. And that's what it's about. You know, because again, you can't take none of this with you. But I thought the man is no good without their finances in this country. He's making enough. Like I said, he makes enough to definitely make sure he is providing and, you know, it's beautiful in his household. And of course, you know, people always want more, but the thing of more is that it's never ending. And so I'm just like, you know, I don't want him going out to chase, you know, the hurricane cleanup stuff because no, like, you know, finish your job detailing and then we come on back home. I don't want to prolong that time without him. I mean, because some things are just invaluable. But I will say this, getting back up to the conversation at hand, especially getting back up to pick up 10 of these shirts. Okay, thank you. When you say, why do you people, I'm going to put this on the board because I know somebody watching the playback may not, sometimes this stuff goes missing. Y'all, and I want you all to know that this honestly is done. This actually happens with playback doing that. I don't do that. Like I don't delete comments, but sometimes I have watched playbacks and there are literally things that I have responded to on camera. But when I look at that chat stream, they're not there. And I'm like, well, what happened? You know, I don't know. But so I'm going to continue to put y'all comments here on the big screen to make sure that it's now included as a part of the footage. Because sometimes when it's on that chat stream on the side, it disappears. And I don't know how YouTube is playing, but it definitely disappears. But yeah, you said, well, why do you people claim? So again, Snuggle, I want to know, who are you people? Because I clearly have said time and time again that I know skin folk are not kinfolk. I know that. So when you say that, who are you referring to? It says, well, why do you people claim somebody who ran as a senator, but when they got nominated, they never claimed to be what you people say they are, but what type of senator they run on as what nationality? I never paid attention to none of it. And the reason why I never paid attention to none of it, because she didn't. It wasn't like she made a big deal about it. She was never like, oh, I'm just this black woman. She wasn't. So, and I never paid attention to, I never gave too much thought to her presidential campaign. I didn't. And, I don't know, something about Kamala, and that's another thing too. Up until literally 3 months ago, people, including people I saw her share a panel with, share some time with, share some space with, share some heat with, pronounced her name Kamala. Kamala. Most of the time it was Kamala. It was like Camille, like Kamala. It was like Camille. And I need to get some chamomile tea later. Thank you for reminding me, y'all. No sugar though. But it was not a problem. Like literally they were sitting on the same space with her and she never thought to say to them, hey, that's not my name. It was never a problem. But now I've gotten corrected about her name a couple of times. And one of the times was by someone who I'm like, I know the N-word was happening in your house. So don't you be over here trying to accuse me of being racist by pronouncing her name wrong. Don't play with me. Tell that to your mother, because I know that N-word was floating around at y'all house. Okay. Have they ever claimed to be anything other than Indian? When you say they, are you talking about Kamala? Yeah, she's claiming to be Black. There was only 2 elections when I could vote for a Black president, but that didn't stop me from voting in other elections. That's right. That's right. So, but again, I think I'm so glad you're here, Koja Malik, because you always have such amazing insight and intellect. And I love my glowers. And I was hoping, my husband said, Courtney's going to be in the middle of the day. You sure? And I said, well, I can't do it at night because it's running too close into our prayer times, because we have committed to not only our church doing the prayer with their prayer call with them, but also Brother Dominic Morrow. You all may remember him from our best viewed live ever. It was with Dominic Morrow, and he shared his account of his journey to hell. He shared his testimony, and it was our most watched live ever. Well, he is leading the Fusion Ministry, where he's bringing together different faith-based groups, and just under the same, in the same hug, in the same circle. And they are I'm not going to butcher the name, but it is a fast as well. And it is going to be going on, I believe, for the next 7 days, not 4. Now my church is only doing I'm sorry, not 4 days. They're doing the first 3 days of the month. And so we've committed to participating in the prayer calls, because the fast that the Fusion Ministries is doing is not only about food, it's also about consumption. And you all know I'm big on that as well. And so it's talking about, sitting at least 2 hours in prayer, in your Bible, in your word, no gossip. And I want to be honest, I have to repent for that, because there are certain things that I do, and I consider just gossip asking questions about someone that's not in the room. And I definitely felt like it wasn't during the fast, because literally the fast just started yesterday. Welcome to October, y'all. Awesome October. But it wasn't during the fast, but I felt like it was close enough too. Like I knew, because you know how, like when you know a fast is coming up, you're preparing. And I'm mindful, and I just should have been more mindful that I was asking questions about someone that was not in the room. And I unfortunately, I feel like that was gossip. So I had to I opened up the fast with repentance. So, but that's one of their principles during this fast as well. And that's Fusion Ministries. And they are meeting tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then our church meets at 9 o'clock. And so, like I said, I wanted to block off enough time doing this conversation. I didn't want to have to disrupt it. And so that's why I said I wanted to do it in the middle of the day. So therefore, because doing it at 5 or 6 o'clock, it just was too much of an opportunity, I think, for, to run into the other prayers, the other prayer calls. So I said, no, I want to do it in the middle of the day. JD Vance's wife is Indian American. Really? Okay. We are really, y'all are coming. Y'all are coming today. Naima is here. Snuggles, y'all are coming today. And Naima, baby, I'm serious. We got to get you on payroll, because you have been on it since literally since that 30-second timer went off. You've been on it. I love it. And I also love that JD I did know this prior to last night's debate, that he was a Marine. I have a soft spot, and Naima already knows this because she is in relationship with a Marine, but I have a soft spot for those Marine boys. Navy SEALs, I get it. For real, I get it. I love even Air Force, but those Marine, that's Semper Fi. Something is real with that. Something is real with that. And my dad was a member of the Air Force. My ex-husband's father was a member of the Navy. Like I said, I recognize, the intellectual forces that are part of armed forces, and the intellectual arms, rather. And I do appreciate them, and I do. But something about the Marines is just the loyalty, the intensity, the passion. Yeah, I'm smitten. That was not his side chick. That was his victim. I ain't even gonna put that on the screen. You ain't gonna do Sally Hemings like that. You are not, it's Coach Malley. We ain't gonna play that game. We gonna call TJ what he was, which was a rapist. That she was not no side chick, honey. She was a 14-year-old girl. And I'm sorry, I think he bought her at 12 or 13 and commenced to making her his concubine, his wife's half sister. That's the real disgusting part of it. What? That's her real name? No, I ain't gonna put that on it. Stop that now, Coach Malik. I ain't gonna put that on there. Thank you. Definitely wrong word choice, because she was not no, she was a victim. She was a victim, and so much to the point that her brother, he was a rapist by extreme measures, a child rapist at that. And her brother, I was in a little, because y'all know food is my business as well. And not only food, but what we do is culturally curate cuisine events. And we are now in the final stages of establishing that nonprofit. And I want to thank all of y'all who have followed this journey through the years. Excuse me, as y'all know, we also, I won't say struggle, but we have contemplated moving this to a nonprofit for a while and did not want to do that. But we have to be honest, we didn't get into this business to make money. I didn't start the food business to make money. I started the food business to be free, because I was getting food free, or freely. Once that arm got put into the business, that changed the dynamic of my entire infrastructure. And I want to again thank Drexel and Honeybee's donations only restaurant out of Bruton, Illinois, because had it not been for not just the mentorship, but the investment from Miss Carlisa, ma'am, it would not have been possible for us to be able to see this nonprofit vision. It would not have been possible, because I knew that my stuff was cost effective, but I couldn't really see it lasting with being a nonprofit. But she provided not only the mentorship, but the guidance and the investment to be able to see that to fruition. So again, Mama, I thank you so much. I cannot thank that lady enough. That lady did not know me from Adam. I saw her story on NBC Today, and I reached out on a hope and a prayer that she could just help us get contact with the people that did their story to share ours, because they were a donations only restaurant. They are a donations only restaurant in Bruton, Alabama. And here we are here in Athens, Georgia. And I thought, okay, if Atlanta, because the NBC Today programming, because y'all know it's media people. We look at who did the story, and who did the story was Atlanta. And so a news source, a news base out of Atlanta. So I said, well, if they'll go to Alabama to do the story, then sure enough, they'll come an hour away to Athens and do our story. So I reached out to her just to get the contact number from her about doing the story possibly on us here in Athens. And this lady not only consoled me as I broke down a couple of times on that conversation, but she followed up with an investment towards us going totally nonprofit, and it has made all the difference. It really has. Mm-hmm. Me too. I love people who's a Marine. I like all military people, but people in Marines have a soft spot in my heart. Me too. Me too. Yes, she was a child. She was. I'm going to put that up, and then I'm going to go back and grab yours, Coach Mallet. So again, want to give a big shout out to Drexel and Honeybee's donations only restaurant in Bruton, Alabama. If you are ever close, please go to this restaurant and support, invest, absolutely, and enjoy, because she has amazing food, but also it's food with a heart. It's food that's not only seeing the need, but feeding the need. And that's the same thing I was doing here. But I couldn't really see how I was going to be able to continue doing a nonprofit. And when I say she made a way, baby, she made a way so I could do a nonprofit. She invested so we could do a nonprofit. So once that component was implemented into our nonprofit business, or into our ministry rather, we were able to see it being successful as a nonprofit. And we are on the final stages of that. So a couple of celebrations are about to approach, y'all. But please do not pass up this opportunity to visit us, visit our websites. Y'all already know our LLC is P4R.today. But if you have never gone on Colored Only Cafe and contributed, y'all, the time to do it is now. For real, y'all. For real, the time to do it is now. We appreciate everyone who has supported thus far, but we are on the final stages. And if anybody knows, okay. The nonprofits, I don't know why people think that nonprofits getting them is free. It's not. They take quite a bit of financial organizing because this will eventually be a tax exempt organization, right? So the financial investment towards being a tax exempt organization are a bit greater. So it has taken a little bit to get us to this point where we are on the final stages of this, but here we are. At last, my love has come along. We are at the we are heading towards those final stages, and you all can really help. We are only literally a couple of $100 away from boom being there. So that's why I said we got the shirts. Any investment or any contribution, rather, you got to be very careful when I say that. And even with Mama Honeybee, or as I like to call her, her real name is Carlisa, but I call her Mama Honeybee or Mama Honey. It was not an investment. It was an investment because of the fact that she gifted this money in order for us to be able to see a vision, but she was not expecting an ROI. And I think so many times people expect, or people think that an ROI, an investment comes with an ROI. So it was a gift. It was, yes, correct. Okay. So it was a gift, but I believe that it was a gift made in faith, and it was investment made in faith to see this vision out as a nonprofit, which is what her restaurant was or is. So, but she wasn't expecting, she didn't gift this money, this contribution, which was huge. It was huge. And say, now, after you guys are, up and running for a year, I want at least, I want this percentage up back. She didn't do that. She gifted it, and she allowed us to be able to, expand out on the vision. And the first thing we did was hire a lawyer, y'all. Y'all know me. Baby. The first thing we did was hire a lawyer with the money that she invested. Okay. So it says Thomas Jefferson, wife Martha, was Sally Hemings the child. was Martha's half sister. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, his wife's half sister. Mm-hmm. So mind you, Sally was the product of his wife's father's graping. Okay. Because let me get this straight. And this is a great conversation to kick off why y'all here today. Because y'all know we about to, what Kaya say is gonna come to order. We about to come to order. This this freak off overload conversation. But it's a great conversation to kick that off because, you know, many people will say, well, when she was, 17, 18, 19, she could have left. She could have stopped. I think at 19, she was already 3 kids in. And again, people really, they make these comments like, this does not still exist today. So it's not something that you can see. That's why I love the book, y'all. I love this word. Because it's so easy for us to look in these think, okay, this was biblical times. Baby, this happens today. The debauchery, the salaciousness, the moral decay, the cheating, the fornicating, the murder, the heinous acts of backstabbing, of conniving. This happens today. So let's keep missing me with this. Oh, this was in biblical time. Like, this is not happening right now. So the fact that this man, literally, like I said, this is why I said this is a great segue. And welcome, y'all. I see y'all coming in. I'm telling y'all, this is a hot one today. Thank you for tuning in. But when we're talking about someone in power, immense power, and also you are owned literally by this person. Literally, your family is owned by this person. Let me tell you, I was and I started this conversation, but then got cut off, y'all. Y'all know how I do it. My mind just starts wondering. Exactly. That part right here. Like she wasn't a slave and a woman. Right. You talking about no rights. Like literally women, slaves. Y'all, let's get this very clear. And this happened with men too. So let me not ever leave out this part of this brutal system. But women slaves had a bigger responsibility because they could bear more property, right? So not only were they working the fields and working the kitchens, but having to work in the bedroom to create more property. Men did not have that same responsibility per se. Now, every part of them was being worked too. And let me make sure I'm tuning right in the camera when I say this. Every part of the men were being worked too. And it is coming out more and more, finding that these property deviants, these heinous terrorists, and that's what they were, were holding all types of homosexual events with our ancestral brothers being the prizes, okay? Being the party favors, young boys being the party favors, being fluffers. If we gonna go there, we gonna go there. So these were not, when I say men were not subject to this type of abuse, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that they were not, they couldn't bear children. And so women were literally visibly with children, had to get still out in that field, had to still be, in that kitchen, had to still be cleaning that house, had to still be committing their bodies, okay, even while they are with child. So that's what I'm getting at. And I'm again not dismissing the sexual abuse and the rampant ways that this took place beyond both, because again, being somebody's property meant being their property, and that in itself is unimaginable, despicable, that people ever thought someone that lived, breathed, bled, cried, it did not matter because they're less than. And because we own them. To think that you could own something that you can't create. Y'all, I'm done. I'm done. That part. The travesty, the danger in thinking that you can own something you cannot create is literally where we are right here in this day and time. And it's happening, what? Through land. This is why owning land, thinking that you own land, is preposterous. You cannot create it. You cannot create it. So how do you think? I'm going to go on my Orlando Brown rant right now, y'all. Grapes? You charging this for grapes? Something that God gave us for free? And y'all know he was right when he said that, because y'all know grapes been, listen, grapes and pineapples, literally. Like I say, food is my business and business is my food. You can research it during times of high society. If you were caught with a pineapple, it was suspected that you stole it, because only members of royal families were allowed to indulge in pineapples. And you can look it up. Yeah, I don't have to believe me. But like I said, with being on a food history conversation, someone had the nerve to say that Sally Hemings' brother, James Hemings, died a drunk, because most chefs have a very kind of they have a very substance abuse lifestyle. I said no. It was reported in several different sources, from several different sources. He died of a suicide. Now, if he drank himself to death, I don't know. I wasn't there. But it was not because a chef having this high demand in the substance abuse. It's because he was watching his sister, whom he could not protect, get absolutely brutalized by his boss. He was Thomas Jefferson's chef. And he is the reason why we have such delicacies as French fries, as macaroni and cheese, which I do not call it macaroni and cheese. I always call it, if anybody has ever dined at any of my functions or events, it is called Hemings casserole. I call it Hemings casserole and Hemings salad. I do a rendition of a soul wrap with Hemings sauce and a Hemings casserole wrapped up with some collards. Okay. I don't call it mac and cheese. We're controlling the narrative and being in these positions of influence. We've got to take more pride in that. But let's be clear. This man did just not just sit up and drink himself to death. He was watching his sister being totally brutalized and controlled, and he had no power to do anything in opposition. That's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Can you have more of these conversations where you can teach the history of food? That is very unique. I don't think anybody, or I have heard this from anyone. Oh no, I have a couple of people that do it. I know of a couple of people. Now I have a couple of people. I know of a couple of people that do it. I would love to say, Snuggles, that I'm unique in this, but I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I know of a couple of people that do it. I used to follow a couple of channels when I was active with social media. I am not as much anymore. Literally, I check my the demands of what we do in our food business and in our property procurement business. Literally, I just had to get real with that. It wasn't helping as much as I wanted it to. But for one, there's a woman, beautiful woman. Her name is Intellectual Media, but intellectual is spelled with an X instead of a CT, you know. And then there are two other accounts that I used to follow when I was on TikTok, because they would make TikTok videos and they would actually teach while they were cooking. And I love that, but I just don't have the camera work to do it. Now, again, I have offered you on 2 occasions that I can remember, Snuggles, if you would partner with us, really, we can get, but when it's my husband and I, and we have, and y'all know before it was my husband and I, it was just me, but y'all would run in a household, it's very hard to get the cameras that's needed. It's very hard to get these type of setups to be able to bring the type of content that you are looking for without an investment. But I will share this about Snuggles, you all. And so this is why I say you playing, because I know you have the capacity. But when I was first starting out, when I moved to Atlanta, because y'all, I had the food business prior to Atlanta, I had it in Miami. But when I was first in Atlanta, and we had the opportunity to set up outside of where my usual cafe was, which it was a sidewalk cafe in East Point, Atlanta. We had another opportunity to set up at another location, and I just did not have the materials to do both locations. I went to Snuggles, and he made an investment, or he gifted. He made an investment for the improvement of my business, and I was able to buy tables, or another table. I did do 2. They buy tables, and I was able to buy some more equipment so that I didn't have to, because that's another thing too with the food business, you all, transporting equipment back and forth. It's a killer. Now, but I have given you 2 opportunities, okay, to do some further out, some long-term, contributions. And we're going to still follow up on that, because that would definitely help. If I had the camera work, I would love to show like step by step and talk and walk through it. But I will give credit, like I said, where credit is due. There are other people that do, in fact, do this. And they have great cameras and they have great ingredients. You all, 80% of the ingredients that I have, 80% of the meals that I make, they come for free from the food bank of Greater Northeast Georgia, the food bank of Greater Northeast Georgia. And but I get them by way of another provider. And up until 2 weeks ago, like I said, I got them from primarily from one other provider, instead of going to the source. But now, again, as we come to the end of our filing requirements, I will indeed be able to go directly to the food bank ourselves and be able to start to procure, ingredients. So I can kind of start to, create our recipes and create our meals by personal selection, as opposed to just doing it from what's being given, if that makes sense. And I hope it does. But y'all, we are almost an hour in, and we started touching on the topic a little bit, but we ain't all the way there. Y'all, we got to do something about these free call conversations. And I say that because of this. Too many people, I believe, in the faith-based community are leading these free call conversations. And I do not believe they're doing it with good intent. I'm going to tell you why. When Cassie's deposition first came out, y'all, when her lawsuit first came out, she specifically described what freak offs were. She specifically described what freak offs were. And yeah, I'm on my Dr. Umar. Yeah, I had to repeat myself a couple of times, but I'm on my Dr. Umar. But she specifically described what they were. And it seemed like from there, once they saw that TD Jakes was at a Diddy party. The faith-based community ran wild. And I mean, when I say they ran wild, they ran like a cat on Zoomies, talking about what are these faith-based, what are these faith leaders doing at these? Yes, Snuggles, that's what I'm saying. So let me get it straight. Let me tell you why. Thank you, but let me tell you why. Okay, so what Cassie described was a private, exclusive, sexual. Can I say sexual on here? I don't know. I hope I don't get cut, y'all. But escapades. They were not the parties. Y'all, Puffy's parties, there were levels to this. There are levels to this. First of all, they were parties that were club. There were parties that were home mansion parties. There were parties that were what do you call them? Destination parties, you know, his yacht parties and all of that. It is not to say that debauchery did not take place at the parties, but y'all, freak offs were something totally different. And the reason why I'm saying this, and I'm if I gotta hurt some feelings today, I'm gonna hurt some feelings, y'all. But these men that are on here talking about these freak offs, baby, y'all weren't gonna be invited to the freak offs. Y'all weren't. And so I think that there's an interest there that is beyond it's beyond, I don't want to say normal or natural, because the whole conversation is like something that a lot of people can't fathom, but it's beyond helpful. It's not benefiting nobody. Keith Sweat, where you at? It's not benefiting nobody for you to be talking about these freak offs. You know who is benefiting? I bet if that podium would move to the left a little bit, or maybe a lot of bit, because y'all probably need a full frontal to be viewed. Some of y'all, something is rising, and it ain't the sun. While y'all are talking about these FOs. Y'all would not be invited to these FOs. Specifically, Cassie said there was a specific type of person with endowment that was at these rendezvous. And it was not a party. It would be from my recollection of her deposition, it would be one or two, and Diddy doing the camera work and giving direction. But most times of what, and I read and listened to the deposition, it was one time. I mean, not one time, I'm sorry. One person, one other person besides herself and Diddy on occasion. And even when on these occasions, these were special events where it wouldn't be like the same. Like I said, again, this is coming from, y'all read it, go back and listen to it, however way you want to do it. But it would come at maybe that's the wrong choice of words, but the times where these other things were happening would come at a time where there was something to be celebrated. And so she might be, sleeping with multiples in the same night, but it was not in the same session, if that makes sense. And if I'm getting to whatever for this conversation, I'm getting to whatever, but I just think we really need to, I don't want to hear no more backwater pastors or even front water major pastors, because it's been a full gamut, talking about freak offs, these freak offs. Because what you really are trying to insinuate is that there was a chance that you could get involved in this freak off. That's what the problem is. Yes, sis. That part. That's what they're doing. That's what you're doing. And you ain't fooling nobody at this point. Because I'm sorry, even and the reason why I think that they love talking about it, because when TD Jakes' name came up into the conversation, not in relation to a FO. Cassie didn't mention nothing about no TD Jakes. She said that they were sex workers. Now, TD Jakes, if he's at one of these other parties and some debauchery is taking place, that does not qualify him for a FO. Do y'all hear me? And you know what? And people really loved it too when it went from TD Jakes to Lecrae. When Lecrae said, I was present at some parties. He said parties. And so y'all, and y'all men, come on. Y'all just, what is it about this? And I know, and I'm asking a rhetorical question because I know what it is. Y'all are trying to insinuate that y'all could be in that mix too. But TD Jakes said parties. Lecrae said parties. And I'm not saying, don't get me wrong. And I'm talking about Lecrae. I ain't talking about TD Jakes because I don't think anybody ever suspected or wondered if he had the requirements. But Lecrae might have had the requirements. But again, out of his own mouth, he said he attended parties. He attended parties. You know? Now, I think 50 Cent introduced some conversation or ideas in regards to perhaps that footage was used as kind of like a, what do they call it? A show off, and he did this with just, people, not necessarily inviting them into a freak off, but like showing off, hey, this is how I got her. I got her doing this and doing that. I got her taking this. Like I got her. It was a control. It was a power. It was a power play. But 50 did not say, oh, and did he invited me? 50 said, kind of like he was a little bit concerned and confused as to why you showing this? Isn't that your girl? And, you were like, yeah, whatever, and so that's what peeped him and knowing, okay, this dude just, he off the rocker when it comes to that. But he didn't say, or he didn't insinuate, or nothing that I have seen and makes it appear that he's insinuated that he was now invited to freak off or FO with Cassie and Diddy. It was like Puffy was just showing this to people, and he knew other people that Puffy showed this to. But it was just kind of the brag, like, this is how I got this girl. This is how I'm turning this girl out. Now I'm not saying that somebody couldn't have seen that and say, hey, I want a piece of that. And then that conversation ensued. But from what I have seen, from what I have known of for years and what I have read, he was quite jealous if someone tried to get with his girl. So that in itself it may be an oxymoron. It may seem hypocritical. Call it what you will. But that was the boundary, that these sex workers were hired assassins, hired help. You couldn't be somebody he's sitting next to at an award show saying, yeah, I want to get with your girl. From many accounts, that made him ballistic, not just with Cassie, but with other women that he was dealing with as well. That was not something that he touted or he welcomed. That was not a conversation that he welcomed. He was he would dust you up if you want to get with his girl. But no, he would hire workers, because again, this is someone he can control. He hired a worker or workers to perform these acts with his girl, because that was control. That is power. You thinking you on the same level and you gonna get access to that same cat is who you talking to? You ain't. That would be disrespectful. And y'all, I'm just, like I said we gonna go there today. We gonna go there. This is just my musings and what I have understood. Now, somebody want to come at me and tell me, now you wrong on this day. She said that, so-and-so pulled up and the pulled up and she had to do. But I have never read that. And like I said, I've read a deposition front and back, that lawsuit front and back. And I've listened to people break it down as well. And in these parts, the people breaking it down, this is the mention. It took another lane entirely, in its entirety, when the faith-based community got hold of this TD Jakes stuff. And I think that this has now turned from freak off to fantasy. You think, you were called away, and I would turn that down. First of all, no, you wouldn't. Secondly, and no, you won't. I'm done. No, you wouldn't turn it down. But secondly, and maybe more importantly, no, you won't. You won't be invited to one. You wouldn't be invited to one, sir. Now, if you tell me you got an OnlyFans and you got a lot of lookers and you also was doubling from a pastor or a deacon or an elder in the church as a sex worker, so you was on these call logs, okay, then say that. Say that you could have been, but that's where the participants were selected from. They were sex workers. So even that tidbit of information, even that small tidbit of information excludes you from that possibility, sir. You've been dismissed, Now, if you want to sit around and now say, I was a sex worker and then we got something else to talk about. But just being a member of TD Jakes Church, or meeting TD Jakes before, or being at a club when Puffy had a party, does not make you now fair game for almost being involved in a freak off. Okay, let me see this. Wow. Interesting. Thank you for that. Snuggles, that I don't think you understand what we're talking about or what I'm proposing. The person, first of all, even if the person got paid, and I'm going to liken it to this case that's going on right now in France. If you guys have not seen this case, literally sit down, brace yourself when you look it up. There was a gentleman who for, I want to say for almost 10, maybe 15 years. So y'all, this took some time. He was organizing the nightly, I won't say nightly. I don't know how often he was doing it, excuse me, but he was organizing basically the sexual assault of his wife. His wife of 40 years. And he started doing this from the time she was 50 to they was 70. Y'all, if you think I'm lying, I wish I was, but look it up. But like I said, be seated down. This was happening this was a couple in France. To the tune of, I think, 72 men. And the reason why I'm just answering you, Snuggles, in regards to this case is because no, there was no payment, but payment doesn't make it right. Please don't ever think that. Please don't ever think that. That payment for a service makes the service right. And again, who agreed upon it? Because these men were not paid, but they also were not informed that the wife was being drugged, literally. Drugged. And they were basically in a consensual rape situation. And we know that there is no such thing as consensual rape. But these men came under the proposed that it's who was agreeing. That's what I'm telling you. You said you have to agree upon it, don't they? No. It's called a worker, isn't it? The worker, yes. The worker agreed with who was paying them. But you're talking about a third party that is in place. In Cassie's situation, that's a third party. She wasn't paying for that. She was being drugged. She was being beaten and assaulted in order to continue participating in that. She was not paying these men. That's where the issue is, Snuggles. And I know you're far too intelligent to not see the issue there. The person who was paying them, they had an agreement that that's what they would be doing. But for the fact that these men, just like in this France situation, like I said, there was no payment, but the fact that these men accepted all types of excuses from the husband. She's shy, so she won't participate. She won't say nothing. But these men said, a couple of them, because there have been a couple of reports from the men, there have been a couple of testimonies, rather, because they're in a full-fledged court case at this point. But a couple of these men said that they thought she was because she would orgasm. There were secretions. There were moans. So a couple of them thought she was not maybe getting into these other positions, but they thought she was a willing participant. They never thought to ask, why are her eyes open? She's why is she so limp? They didn't think to ask that. They were going solely on the agreement that they had with this woman's husband. And they accepted whatever he told them. And so her and her children, she and her children are also planning to sue these men that participated. Because we cannot, and this is such a good conversation. And I hope that it continues past this live, y'all. But we cannot, as a society, continue to think it's okay just because we want it to be. That we don't ask the questions. We don't say, hey, little girl, do you know that guy? Hey, how old are you guys? When you see a grown, very much adult age man with someone that is looking like a child but dressed like a worker at some establishment, and you know it's shady. I used to be friends with a very amazing young lady down in Miami, and she worked for the state attorney. And I mean, every time we went out, baby, Jay's head was on a swivel because she was always looking for those telltale signs of sex trafficking, of a human trafficking victim. She was always looking for those signs. You know, if a guy got up and he went to the bathroom and the girl put her head down, she was always looking for these signs. And she was never afraid. And I've been in 2 situations with her where she was not afraid to go up to the girl and say, hey, are you okay? Do you need me to call you someone? Do you need some money to pay this bill and get out of here? I was in one situation where this is what she asked the girl. Do you need me to pay the bill? So you go. The girl declined, but you do what you can. But she said she fully, now my back was to the couple, but she was facing them. And as soon as that guy got up to go to the bathroom, Janine went, oh, I said her name, Lord. Jay went over there. And Jay asked the girl, did she need some help? Did she want her to pay the bill? She said, I'll pay the bill. It'll give you a couple of minutes. So you don't have to worry about, hey, well, he bought me lunch, so I'm obligated to go with this guy. So apparently Jay was watching the interaction. Because y'all, that is very real. And maybe this goes back to the debate last night where JD, thank you, Naima, Mr. James Donald, brought up the fact that 320,000 immigrant children have gone missing under this administration. And it is highly believed to be that they are being sex trafficked, put into labor fields, and y'all, let's not get it twisted. It's not too many, just like slavery, y'all. Let's get it right. Let's get it right. Just like slavery, there are not too many people that I own this person. This person will do whatever I say, and they got to, and they here illegally, and I'm the only thing that's holding them from being deported back to maybe a worse condition, and especially now with damaged goods. It's not too many people that be in those type of positions that don't also use their labor for also some convenient sex and make money off of that too. They sell the footage, they circulate it. It's currency. So these are real beyond challenges to what we have to consider as human beings. That's why I said, baby, we kingdom over culture here, baby. Kingdom over culture is a kingdom culture and kingdom mindset. And it can't just be about, just as long as me and mine. Just as long as me and mine. Because if you know better, you must do better. Probably so. Probably so. Probably so. And I do have another, that's going to be for another day though, but we are moving forward in our activism, or as I like to call it, advocatism. Advocate and activism. We're moving forward our advocatism or advocacy and activism in regards to reparations and slavery and what that has meant economically for this country. We are moving forward with our with our missions there as well. Wow. The workers wouldn't give eye contact, and the amount of work no two people could do, and the money that they pay would be a lot to pay. Exactly. No, people who have been getting over slavery taught America specifically that free labor was the way to go. And capitalism was built off of that. And ever since, they are still trying to figure out ways to capitalize on that. Capitalize on free labor, ways to get it, ways to capitalize on it. And even if it's short windows of time, they have to. Snuggles, you said I don't explain to me so people can have an agreement and then it's not wrong. Yes, because Puffy and the sex worker agreed. Cassie wasn't a part of that agreement. She was a victim of the agreement. Don't play with me, man. Like I said, I have a lot of respect for you, but don't play with me. You know what I'm saying. Just like in the France situation, the men that were doing that to his wife had an agreement with the husband, but they don't ask the questions. They just pump the puss. Oh, I'm going crazy on this right now. I might get cut, what have you. But don't play with me, man. That's what I'm saying. Diddy paid for these sex workers to assault this woman. And these sex workers, because they were paid, never asked the question of, am I doing the right thing? So that's why I said just because they got paid to do it doesn't make it right. And the fact that they don't ask the question of, hey, did she agree to it? Did she agree to it? And as a matter of fact, one of the few, because I've only seen two depositions from alleged sex workers have come across, my vision. I'm about to say it's come across my village. Lord have mercy, no. But only two have come across, and they talked about the fact that they had to take copious amounts of drugs. That was also part of the agreement. And I'm saying copious amounts of drugs to the point where they had to run IVs the next day. So I don't want us to, like I said, I don't want us to have willful ignorance or practice cognitive dissonance. Yes. But I don't want us to have to do that. But yes, you can pay for something and it still be wrong. Yeah. Yeah, you can. Okay, says when the victims become young males that go, oh, you think so, Cole? Cole, you think so? Let's talk about that. When the victims become young males that go assaulted by a Diddy, the response from men changes. What did it change to? What does it change to? Because I haven't, to tell you the truth, I haven't seen much attention or much, I want to say, I guess attention would be the best word, but I have not seen much just appeal with the producer that brought up all of these other, discussions, and he named names. Baby, that producer named names, and it seemed like nobody cared about that. They want to go right back to Cassie. You know why? Because Cassie is a beautiful woman that they also want to freak off. They don't care about that guy. They don't care about that guy. I ain't gonna lie. And that guy's named names. He put some other people on blast. His deposition did way more naming than Cassie's. His lawsuit did way more naming than Cassie's. And they don't care. Some men will very mysterious when they see their sons or themselves as victims. They will, but they won't talk about it because you know why? I think you're right. I think you're onto something, sis. And when I say sis, you know what I mean it. But I think that you're right, but they won't openly talk about that because then men would have to admit or accept rather that themselves could have been victims. And they don't want to do that. They will not do that. Men are still very, they don't want that type of vulnerability. They are opposed to that type of vulnerability. Yeah. Okay, I would suggest you, it was a producer. It was one of Puffy's producers off of his Love album. And he has named names. He has talked about the yacht parties. He's talked about the drugging of the drinks of these young minors, or I guess that's redundant, but of these minors that were at these yacht parties and these destination parties. Yeah, he has basically said, he was, and you saw how how quickly, and Christian Keys, baby, he played that perfectly. I don't care what nobody say, honey. And I ain't got no more limeade in here, but I'm gonna see if I can get a little bit of juicy. Cheers to you, because Christian Keys capitalized so quickly off of when everything was starting up. Everything was starting up with after the Cat Williams, and quickly, and baby, as quickly as he put it in play, with the quickness, it was removed, and he was back doing another some other work. He was back working because he knew that he only had a brief window. Because when it's men, this people don't care as much. I mean, look at Mother's Day and look at Father's Day. They just don't. And the men that speak up about this, they get also ostracized. Oh, don't be a, don't be a simp. Don't be, don't be a little bee. Don't be whining about that. So they know they're going to go through that as well. This is why men don't speak up, and the men that do speak up, this is why other people don't care about, I won't say don't care, but they do not share that they care about them speaking up, because in the back of their mind, they already think that wouldn't be me. I wouldn't have been over there, assaulted by a Puff. And he look a little blah blah blah. Girl, that's the way it always goes. That's the way it always goes. I won't say always, because a person that I do think is very smart has always said, don't speak in absolute terms, because you'll always be wrong. Now, that's the one thing that he would say that was absolute, is that you're always wrong if you speak in absolute terms. So you're always supposed to say maybe, might have, possibility, could have, improbable, but not impossible. You always leave that little crack. So I will say this, most of the times it probably goes that direction, that people don't want to admit that someone else was vulnerable, because then they have to admit to their own vulnerability. And most men will not feel comfortable doing that. Most men do not and will not admit to that. So it just continues to behoove them to blind diet, die with the lie. That ain't me. It could never be me. And I'm moving on for them. Yes. And that is exactly what she was on. That was exactly what she was on. Yep. That's exactly what she was on. And there was another young lady that came forward. She was a former model, and she was, had to participate in a threesome, as she alleges, with both Kim Porter and Puffy. And I want to tell y'all something. And and again, I don't care who don't like it. This is my channel. If you don't want to be on here, that's fine. If you don't like what I'm saying, next video, it's fine. But that was another thing too. When it came to that Kim Porter situation, I never really, I never got with it. I was never, yeah, I don't want to sound, like I'm getting, But I never, I figured something like there ain't no way Puff was moving like how he was moving and she wasn't complicit. That's the one happening. So, and y'all, let me also qualify all of my statements when I say stuff like this. I have been in situations, multiple, with men that I knew weren't doing something right. Now, I'm not saying that they were doing what, Puff was doing. No. But I knew that there was some disrespect of women there. And it may not have been with one situation. Like I said, I was dating this guy at the time. We were actually not just dating, but we were living together. We were engaged. And he would just kind of often talk about his friends. He had just a real warped idea of sex and relationships and responsibility with it. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to just talk about a couple of situations. This was somebody, like I said, this ain't nobody on a Puff level status, what have you. But okay, anybody that knows me knows I don't do the strip clubs. It's never been something I've never really been interested in. Like I think women are beautiful and all that good stuff, but it just, I don't consider that entertainment. I don't consider that entertainment, and I consider that, and I always think of the fact that somebody young, maybe nowadays it might be different. It clearly might be different nowadays, but growing up, I never thought that, this person wanted to be a stripper. So I never thought of it being an industry that was healthy or sane. I have known too many stories of people that had to get on these drugs to get on that stage. I knew real live player club stuff that happened. I was in school at FAMU, and the stories that I heard from girls from all over Detroit, Chicago, New York, Miami, these never leave you. These never leave you. So I never was into that whole culture, like thinking that was a cool thing. Oh, I believe so too. And that's why I think she was just as wrong. You just as wrong. And so, and that's what I'm saying to my point with this gentleman. He always, I won't say always, again, not going to use absolute terms, but on a couple of occasions, he'd be like, that he really wanted to take me to one, or he really wanted to see me with another woman. And I would be like, this dude is like sick, because I don't get down like that. But I say this, and he participated in all types of just weird stuff, with stuff that I consider weird. Like, I think one time he told me about he went to a party and, he ended up, sleeping with somebody in the room, while the person who hosted the party, his uncle was on the next bed, and, and it's just like, what? So it's just weird. It was just weird to me. And like I said, this stuff I'm hearing, this was not when I was young and dating. This is when I was, literally, I was, it was about 10 years ago. So at any rate, I'm just saying that this person who was in his 40s had been watching pornography since he was in his teens. And these things just became normalized to him. So much to the point that for someone like myself, who I'm very conservative when it comes to that play. I'm very conservative when it comes to that. And I'm very, I've always taken it that very seriously. And even times, and I'm not going to lie, even times in my life where I was like, what, I could do this and do that this one time. And I've been to Mardi Gras, and I have participated in some debauchery that was going on in Mardi Gras, but it wasn't no, pull a dude in the alley and get it, get it in the corner or nothing like that. Nah, it wasn't nothing like that, but it was, y'all know what you do at Mardi Gras. You showed, I got beads. And I was a married woman at the time. And my ex-husband is from New Orleans. And he knew I was going on that trip, and he didn't say, hey, don't do this or do that. And it probably wouldn't have stopped me even if he'd had, tell you the truth. But he didn't say, hey, don't do this or don't do that because it's going to get crazy. But I got beads, and, wow. Girl, Cole, we're gonna have to do a show about this one day. Oh my God, this now I do appreciate that this freak off, that this is opening up real conversation. But y'all know how I feel about conversation. I feel like that's why I know Elvis was black. A little less talk, a little more action. Conversation is good, and we need to open up we need to open up about these conversations, but the action, what are we willing to do about it? What are we willing to do about it? Because especially in our communities, and I will say this, I want to say especially in our communities because I'm a member of I'm speaking from my family and of the American African race. And I like that. I think Dr. Umar is on to something with that. American African. It makes so much more sense than African American. Exactly. But the fact that we do not have these conversations, but the reason why I'm saying I had to kind of backtrack a little bit with what I just said, because I'm meeting here in Athens. I want to say it's the most time in my life where I've had intimate conversations and relationships with people from the Caucasian race. Now, don't get me wrong. In every place I've ever lived, like you can't live nowhere in America and not work around white people, not eat at white places, not patronize white business, predominantly white. People say, oh, why does it have to be a black-owned business? And I said, because literally that's such a small, like, exceptions don't change standards. Like, every place you go into more than often than not is a white-owned business. It just don't have to be said. It don't have to be said because that's what it is. Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Walmart. That's what it is. And that's what it is. So yeah. So I've always done that. Of course, I'm American African. That's going to be. But here in Athens is the most time in my life ever that I've had intimate, like when I say intimate, just like real conversations. Like I said, conversations with people that sit down and we talk. And that's what the Colored Only Cafe has allowed, y'all. That's what the Colored Only Cafe has allowed. I don't think people are having these conversations at Chick-fil-A. I don't think these people are having these conversations at Chili's. I don't think they're having these type of conversations at Chipotle. Colored Only Cafe is allowing these type of conversations. And I'm hearing how, like it was suspected, because I've watched a lot of cold cases. Y'all, how about my daughter was in the hospital a couple of weeks ago. Actually, last week. She got out last week today. But she was in the hospital. And so we was, in the hospital. I call it the hospital hotel. We was in a hospital hotel for a couple of days. And I got my babies on that cold case. Baby. And I said, what's the first thing you've noticed about these episodes? Because we saw 3. Well, we saw the end of 1, and then we saw 2 complete episodes. And I said, I'm gonna tell you. And I said, what have you noticed about Cold Case? And of course, my son, first thing he said, the music. He was like, and I said, yeah, the music. That's the way Cold Case got me. But that's not the way they kept me. And the way they kept me is because of this. And I said, what else did y'all notice? And I said, especially with it being in Philly, that's another reason how it got me, because y'all is Philly. And it is just to bring my heart so much joy to just see them going around to these places that not only did I know, but I was living in. Like, Cold Case was popular when I was living in Philly. So I could now see why people loved NYPD Blue. I could now see, because, it's a difference when you growing up in Daytona. Of course, we never saw that. We didn't see that. It wasn't no popular show with Daytona on it, So Cold Case gave me that. It was like reality TV before reality TV. Yes. Oh my gosh. And so, but my son said, oh, for it being Philly, and he said, wasn't there a lot of black people in Philly? I said, yeah, but why do you say that? He said the people that's on this show ain't black. And I said, okay. And I said, now we close. And I said, so why don't you think that is? And he said, I don't know. He said, because the black people weren't the ones committing these crimes. Y'all, I was done. You know how good it feels when you talking to the next generation and they get it? But that's why I like Cold Case, because even though it's in Philly, which we know a lot of black people in Philly, we know it. And the guy, I love you, 215. I love you. But when you think of crime, you gonna always think of black people. And that is the reason why, I promise you, I believe that's one of the reasons why Cold Case didn't survive. Because most of these, what they was doing, it wasn't these, it wasn't no black crimes. It wasn't that. It wasn't that. These cold cases, and cases go cold because the secrets get buried, because somebody didn't want to say something. You understand? And that happens a lot more in white communities and white families than it does in ours. It's more of an interest in finding out in ours, because, again, 13th Amendment, back to free labor. It doesn't benefit them as much to lock up white people, because, first of all, it's a personal familiarity. That's like locking up your brother, your sister, your cousin, your aunt. No, we want to get them help. But those are when the unsolved murders of black people is higher, but crime is, the people that are taken in and convicted of crime, black people are a higher rate, because it benefits these prison systems more for black people to go in and give free labor. Let's be real. Let's have these real conversations. And I thank y'all so much for being a part of it. Yeah, the generational curse that goes along with it was like another level. Absolutely. That's insane. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. So if let's just say, let me just wrap my head around this, if you will, Co. That means, okay, my son comes home with his girlfriend, meet the family. That girl now has to sleep with my husband, has to sleep with my because, like, I don't have any more children except for my daughter, but now the woman would have to sleep with my son's brothers from his father. You know what I'm saying? Is that what was happening? Cousins, uncles. Is that what was happening? Am I wrapping my head around that correctly? Because if I'm not, like I said, stop me and kind of shift me. Because my husband knows, and y'all may too, I'm a writer by nature. That's why, media and journalism has always appealed to me. I'm a writer by nature, but, mama wanted to be a lawyer. And I feel like, I got a bit of that. I got a bit of that energy, right? But yeah, y'all, I my imagination can run But again, I don't want to run it off the rails, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. Oh, wow. So their first time was basically with this worker. You know, this reminds me of a story of remember the girl that was on the well, she was a stud, but Snoop, that was on the Wire. Was that the Wire? That was the one, right? Yeah, because I always get them confused with because it's kind of like the same. I used to love the show Homicide, but I've never watched one episode of The Wire. But I think she was on The Wire. I've never watched one episode though. So, like I said, bring me back in if I'm wrong, y'all. But she was saying that she was yeah, because she was like her uncle saw in her that she was a lesbian. And I mean, I think she was young, y'all. I think she was maybe like I don't want to lie on nobody, but I want to say she may have been like 12. And the uncle hired a lesbian woman to basically get with her because he saw that she was a lesbian. Now, my thing is this: why the uncle care that you were lesbian and you 12? So yeah, you might want to dress in the boy clothes and you might be a little rough around the edges, but that means now I'm gonna have to. I got to get this woman to full out. And I think she said the woman was like 25. She said she was bad. And that was her first experience. So it's kind of like that Lil Wayne situation. Yeah. So it's kind of like, so Koji Malik, it's kind of like that Lil Wayne situation where, yeah, you know, Baby basically, they said that, you know, it was basically like a groupie. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, y'all, that was a very, y'all, I don't do those anymore, but y'all want to see me do those again? I used to do just basically posts, right? Like I didn't do all the time lives. I think I should go back to that. I used to do posts about different comments. I'll revisit that. We'll revisit that when Hubspate gets back into town. We got to figure out how to do it. Because we still need some cameras and some other stuff, some other equipment. But or we have some other equipment, but we need to figure out how to work it. But yeah, Boosie. Oh, somebody came for me. And I remember that was how my best friend from FAMU found me. She found me because of that video. Because that, I guess, you know, like going viral now, y'all, is like a million views. Going viral back then was like I got a couple of thousand. And I was like, oh, I'm getting ready for my close-up. They're coming. But that Boosie one took off. And I was just talking about how like it was ridiculous because he was saying that, you know, he gets all his sons checked out. He gets them checked out. And I said that would have been like the equivalent of my dad. When I went to my dad at 13 and said, I want to marry Scottie Pippen. If my dad would have said anything else but what he said, Courtney, are you crazy? And when I tell you, I told Scottie Pippen this story. I met him in Miami. Welcome to Miami. I met him in Miami, and it was at a grocery store, y'all. I couldn't believe it. And I mean, this guy was the love of my life growing up, but I was so like embarrassed as I was telling him this story. I'm like, this thing wasn't hot. This thing was not hot. This thing was not sexy. But I tell you, that man was a true gentleman. That man was like he was not like, oh yeah, you like me. He was like, girl, you're weird. I was like, yeah, so, you know, I told my dad I wanted to marry you. Marry me? Like, you know, and I was like, yeah, my dad told me I was crazy. And he was like, I mean, it was the most awkward. I was like, okay, goodbye. Bye, Scotty. It was so awkward, you know, because here I was, a woman full grown in my whole adult age in my 30s. And this man was not like, oh, yeah, you know, he was like, Like there's got to be more to this story where you was admitted you had. That's what it was. But I'm gonna tell you, we was before I made that comment. It was his demeanor wasn't. Now I will say this: when I met Trey Songz, I knew immediately you right on the money. Like it wasn't he didn't give me no energy. And I knew it. And ever since then, I don't really mess with Trey Songz like that. But this particular interaction was friendly. I mean, I want to say it was cordial at first. Like I said, he was coming out the store. I was coming into the store. And there was this place right in front of the store where, like, it's like a little lobby. And so we was talking. I was just like, oh my gosh. And I was like, oh my gosh, I grew up loving you. And I was like, it is such an honor. And I reached out my hand, and he shook it. And it was like, it was peace. But when I said that, I said, I used to have such a crush on you. My dad told me I was crazy. I wanted to marry you. And he was like, like, girl, like he was weirded out. He was weirded out, as he should have been. And like I said, it was just, he was like, okay. Like, okay, all right. Goodbye with that. Like, conversation was over. And like I said, it wasn't too much more. We could go there anyway, because I had grown out of those feelings too. But it was amazing to see him in person. It was amazing to see him in person, and definitely taller than what I could have ever imagined. Because you have an idea. Because I went to school with Vince Carter, right? So it's like, I know what 6'6" looks like. That's why I was always a good judge of guys' heights, because I went to school with Vince. And my brother was, kind of tall. My brother was 6'1", almost 6'2". And so when people be like, oh, so-and-so is 6 feet, I'd be like, that ain't that. That's a good height, but it's not like tall. Like tall is like, yeah, when you get 6'5", 6'6". 6'4". But on a regular person outside of the court, 6'3", 6'4" is like what huge, right? And so seeing him at that 6'7" was like crazy, and it was beautiful. It was, but I was no longer into him at all. Like, and then also too, of course, understand that he ain't Scottie Pippen a part of the like he still, of course, is a member of that of championship teams, but it's not the same energy. You understand? So I was over it, but I think I was too, I want to say I was too like, like when I said it out loud, it didn't sound cute at all. And I will say this as well, because this is not what he was seeing. Y'all, this is when I first moved to Miami. So I was about 30 pounds lighter. I had your girl was bodying. The body was definitely, I had already had children, but I was a trainer. I was about 30 pounds lighter than I am now. And the contacts, the weave, the nails, like it was definitely I was Miami. I was definitely Miami. So it wasn't this that he was looking at. I've never been a makeup girl, so I don't think I made makeup, but I might have some lashes on, because see, I had green and purple contacts, so the lashes did something different to the eye work. And I was coming from work, and I always because again, I was a trainer at LA Fitness at the gym. Honey, you always working. You're always working, and so your body was your business card. And so the heels were on blast, that boost was high, baby, that weave was going. It was never going great enough though, because I just could not wrap my head around, literally and figuratively, around paying what women were paying to get hair done. I could not do it. So, I might have always had some good linkage, but I rarely went to a salon. I was just putting those tracks in myself, and I never did a wig. So I literally was just putting tracks in myself always, and to the tune of one time I ended up in the hospital because I got allergic reaction to the glue and the dye that was on the wefts of the weave, and I mean my face blew up. I did a video about that too. Y'all gotta go and see my old stuff. But yeah, big shout out to the men that do not think that that's cute. And my husband is one of those as well. Like he is like he won't understand. He refuses to understand how that could ever be appealing to any man, you know. But the difference is, and this is why I said we have to start having these real conversations in our families and checking this behavior, because you disagree with it, but will you check the next man? You disagree with it, but will you tell that sister, hey, that ain't how you want to do? I will say this, and I do appreciate this. I'm going to be honest. There were a couple of times in my life where I was doing something, you know, very wrong as far as in my relationships. And in both of those journeys of my life, there was always a sister that said to me, hey, you wrong. You're wrong. And I mean, just like that, like literally it would be my biological sister, or it would be a friend, but God would always put somebody in my path to just check me. And we all need somebody like that. But sometimes you really do have to pray for it. And I do think, and I wholeheartedly believe that, Kim did not want to check Puffy. She did not want to check Puffy. And according to, like I said, that's one young lady, she was very complicit in this forced threesome that this lady got drugged to participate in. And so much to the point that when she saw this lady working at a bar a couple of months after, she had the girl fired from the bar. Because what happens there is that I think it's guilt, but also it's damage control. Because I wasn't supposed to see you again. You were supposed to be a face in my puss. Why didn't you go somewhere and disappear? That's what the help supposed to do. Keep your face in my puss and keep my man excited while watching this go down. You're not supposed to be up here now serving some drinks. I don't ever want to see you again. You're hired help. You were hired help. So like I said, God knows and sees all. I do not believe that her death was I believe there was foul play in her death, her murder. But when it has come to that conversation, you won't find me ever trumping and stumping for no Kim Porter. I believe she was complicit in a lot of it. So, y'all, we coming up on the end. We about to recap. It is Wednesday, the second day of awesome October. Y'all, please, like I said, I love that man yesterday, just like it was a what do they call it in a movie or in a show? But you know, so y'all know we have a lake on our, you know, on our property, and hadn't seen these geese in maybe about 4 months. Hadn't seen no geese, and yesterday they just landed all on the pond. They landed all on the pond right in front of us, and I said, Lord have mercy. I do. I love being in the middle of this. Like, we are also, you know, we're looking at some other properties, But we would truly, truly, truly miss this. I mean, we live in a real retreat, y'all. We live in a real retreat, no tricks. Actually, a couple of tricks. We'll talk about that another day. But I want to thank all of y'all for making out to this show today, for just engaging in this conversation. I want y'all to please, please, please remember to nothing is worth compromising principles and morals for. Not no paycheck. I want y'all to always remember that. I promise y'all, I've made some decisions in my life that I probably would be in a different place financially had I made these. But when I say different place financially, it don't always mean a better place financially. You know, maybe for the moment, maybe for at the time. But I have made a couple of decisions that I can think of top of my head that my morals would have been compromised severely. And I just feel like that song, I Hope You Dance, said, you know, when you come close to selling out, reconsider. Give the heavens above more than just a passing glance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope y'all dance. I hope y'all dance. Y'all, please cop a shirt. Kingdom Culture, like I said, we are on the tail end of securing our nonprofit status. Thank you so much for Miss Jacqueline Bosby that is doing our work, our filing work. Thank you so much. Shay, appreciate you. And want to give some more, like I said, big shout out to all people, organizations. Last but not least, Drexel and Honeybees, donations only restaurant in Bruton, Alabama. Thank you so much for that gift, for that investment, for that contribution, whatever way you call it. Thank you so much for that. Because had it not been for that show of faith, would it have allowed us, we would not have been allowed the opportunity to be able to see this vision behind what we were losing in performing this act, with running a community pantry, with providing free meals. We would not have been able to see past that, but you allowed us the opportunity to do that. You invested in the opportunity to do that. And I thank you so much. We are so forever grateful. And so as we come up on the last couple of dollars, y'all, we would have been there by now. Had my daughter not gone into the hospital last week, we would have been there by now, but we got set back a little bit, but that is a-okay. Our pastor paid for my daughter's meds, so we were able to get a little bit more of our grounding back, but we are still just a couple of hundred shy of being able to secure the final fees for that complete filing. And I just I encourage you all to support, to recognize and appreciate that, y'all, this work is real. I've been doing this work for years now. And if you plug my name in anywhere, you can see my history. I've been doing this work for real. Community service, kingdom service has always been my thing. I ain't never did it for a paycheck. And trust me, there were times in my life where I got paid very well to do what I do, but I have never done it for a paycheck. I have always decided that the paycheck was not going to be my end all deciding factor. Purpose was, and purpose is. I love you all. And until next time, y'all know what to do. Glow up. This is a great What in the Word Wednesday, y'all. Oh, should we, you know what? Oh. So we do prayer cards, y'all. Y'all see here. Exodus 3:14, I will be what I will be. I am who I am. That's our prayer card for today, y'all. I appreciate all of y'all and thank y'all so much again for being a part. And until next time, y'all know what to do. What in the word? No more free calls, y'all. No more free calls. And y'all call these pastors out when they start talking about these free calls and Puffy with these free calls. No, sir. Don't, you just saying it does not invoke your energy to be a part of it. Call these folks out. Say what it is. I love y'all.